Hey everybody, Wild Man Wess here. Yesterday, the world of cinema was heartbroken to find out the news that legendary actor Val Kilmer passed away from pneumonia after battling throat cancer at the age of 65. At first, we thought it was possibly one of those cruel April Fool's jokes that we normally get on social media. However, after researching it, it was in fact true, and wow, a lot of emotions, a lot of memories. And the best way that we as a community can group together is talk about our memories. As before with John Irwin, the voice of He-Man, who recently passed away a few months ago, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give a little bit of a recap of Val Kilmer's career and just some of the memories that I remember fondly. Starting off, Val Kilmer was born on December 31st, 1959 in Los Angeles, California, where later on he went to Chatsworth High School, and at the same time he did go to high school with Kevin Spacey, so that is also one of those kind of starts where somebody that became famous actually went to school with other people that became famous in the industry. And also, after graduating from Chatsworth High School, he went on to Juilliard for his acting career to blossom, and to what I understand, he was one of the youngest people to ever be enrolled or actually get a spot at the Juilliard School of Performing Arts. As Val went on to perfect his craft, he did turn down a role for the movie The Outsiders and was working on a Broadway production called The Slab Boys that also starred Kevin Bacon, Jackie Earle Haley, and Sean Penn. So Val definitely missed out on some opportunities in films, but also was able to establish relationships with other people in the industry that went on to do a lot of phenomenal work. Also around this time, Val Kilmer did get a spot on ABC's afternoon special called One Too Many, which also starred Michelle Pfeiffer. Once again, these people that have had illustrious careers, they just seem to mesh well together, and that's awesome. Shortly after, in 1984, Val Kilmer would get his big break in the movie Top Secret, and he would also follow it up with Real Genius, and this would begin the almost 40-year career span of the work that he has done. There was a lot to research, there was a lot of movies that I had no idea he was in, but the ones that we do remember, I mean, the list goes on and on. The ones that I remember: Top Gun, Willow, The Doors, Tombstone, True Romance, Batman Forever, Heat, The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Saint, Prince of Egypt, and also Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which a few years ago my friend Hefe from Beer You Beer Me joined me on an episode of the 24 Beers of Christmas where we reviewed that film. Apart from his film career, he also had some spots on television. Most known were the hosting of Saturday Night Live, being on shows like Psych, Numbers, and Entourage. Around 2015, Val Kilmer was diagnosed with his cancer, and that is when his career started to slow down, and eventually there was a resurgence when he wrote his memoirs I'm Your Huckleberry in 2020, as well as a documentary film called Val in 2021 that got very big praise at Cannes Film Festival. Something that the fans truly, truly appreciated throughout all of this. In 2022, his final performance was as Iceman in Top Gun Maverick, which we were a little concerned. Was he going to be a part of it? Was he going to really say anything? How big his part was going to be? And at least it was a great send-off. And I appreciate that big time. Speaking of fond memories with Top Gun, now it is time to talk about some of those memories that I do enjoy. With Iceman from Top Gun, he was always that brash, cocky character, but eventually he did have those moments of, I totally get where Maverick's coming from, I try to be by the book, but at the same time I understand his being a rebel. Though I love Top Gun, my very first memory of Val Kilmer was not from that film. It was actually from Willow when he played the brash Mad Mardigan. Like I said, sometimes I feel like he might have been typecast as a lot of brash characters, but he made it work. And fun fact on this one, I'm sure a lot of people probably know this, while he was on the set of Willow, he also met his then wife Joanne Whalley. I believe that's how you pronounce her name. It is what it is. But she played the character Sorsha, which I thought their chemistry was phenomenal. And I did forget to mention that Val Kilmer did have archival footage in the revamp of Willow that was on Disney+. One of my favorite performances of Val Kilmer, I would dare say, even though Doc Holliday from Tombstone was amazing, I really appreciated his portrayal as Jim Morrison of the biopic The Doors, because finding out a little bit more of his audition for Oliver Stone originally did not want Val Kilmer to play the part, even though Val Kilmer gave him a tape that had certain songs of The Doors. The goof was to see if Oliver Stone could determine whether or not in each song it was Val Kilmer singing or Jim Morrison singing. But here's the kicker. It was Val Kilmer in every song. And one of the producers, and especially one of the people that worked directly with The Doors, heard this tape and tried doing a recording of Val Kilmer with a full-on band doing the songs, and Oliver Stone changed his mind. And I mean, the movie is not the greatest of the whole work of Val Kilmer, but I appreciated it because being a fan of classic rock, especially from the 60s and 70s, it fit for me. And plus it showed his range of not just being an actor, but also a musician. Because in times where actors and actresses have that range and do have musical abilities, they're not confined to one aspect of performing. Okay, now to talk about the elephant in the room. Obviously, there are some people that have mentioned that Val Kilmer was not necessarily the easiest to work with. Two movies in particular where I researched a bit. Yeah, Batman Forever. I mean, he wasn't the greatest Batman, but then again, we've seen a lot worse, haven't we, folks? A lot of it has to deal with the fact that Joel Schumacher had once said that Val Kilmer was rather immature on set and really didn't take the performance seriously. But ironically enough, that the Joel Schumacher Batman films, I mean, it was like Tim Burton's but on steroids and zany madcap humor. I mean, Nipplegate. Also, there was interviews from the movie The Island of Dr. Moreau with Marlon Brando that Val would not show up on time for production and whatnot. But I mean, things happen. I'm not going to sit here and point the finger at somebody, especially after they're no longer alive. It's just something interesting that I found. However, when I think about some of the things that might have been said about his career, Roger Ebert once said in 1992, if there was an award for the most unsung heroes of his time in films, that award would probably go to Kilmer. And truer words were never spoken. I rarely see any awards that Val Kilmer really won while he was in the industry, but his range and his energy, I'd like to see some of that with the newer generations of performers. I mean, to this day, I mean, hey, I'm not the greatest performer myself. Man, there are times where I wish I had a fraction of the energy that Val Kilmer possesses. But that I digress on that, and that's neither here nor there. Though Val Kilmer's career had its ups and downs, as well as his personal life and his health, he seemed to be a positive person, for better or worse. And proof to that, there was something that he had said about life and death, and it said that he had believed that death was just a transition to another state of consciousness. And quite frankly, I hope that I can still, in my own personal life, hold on to some positivity to the world unknown, or just the unknown of what's going to happen down the line when it's my time. And you know what? I think I take that for granted, and quite frankly, I worry about mortality sometimes, and that statement gives me hope. And I hope that it does for you as well. Well, I'm going to wrap this up because this is getting a little bit emotional deep down for me. But if there are memories that you have that are fond and you want to talk about, leave it in the comments section below. Seriously, unfortunately, we never really talk about things until somebody's gone. And it's unfortunate. But at the same time, as I mentioned in the beginning, it brings us together as a group, as a community, because we're living in some pretty crazy times right now, and sometimes having that nostalgic feeling of something that made you smile back when you were younger, it goes a long way. Until then, I'm Wellman Wess, and we will see you next time with some more positive content. Take care.